Hi everyone, my name's Lily. I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm bringing you my June TBR. So May is not done, but I realized that I had to film my June TBR today. So excuse the lighting. I would have preferred to wait for a better natural light day, but I had to do it today. So I'm gonna do my June TBR today, and I have a few books that I have to read, a few books that I want to read, and some others as well that I want to read. I do not think I'm going to get to all of these this month. In May, I made the TBR, and I love how in May I made the TBR and was like, oh, I'd like to read these books, but if I don't, no sweat. And then here I am the last week of May being like, I have to keep reading so that I finish these books for my TBR, which is not the mindset I want going forward in June. So I'm just going to talk about the books, try to pare down my TBR. So let's start with books I have to read. So I only have a few that I have to read this month. I'm just using my bullet journal to help plan this. The first one is Final Support Group. I got an arc of this from the publisher, and I just love the concept of final support group. Basically, it's this idea that in horror movies, there's always like the last girl left standing. And I hadn't really known about this trope too much until I watched a movie, and I can't remember what the movie was. Maybe it was like Ready to Play, something like that. But basically, I had seen this gif of this girl who's like covered in blood in this white dress, and I was thinking, what is going on? And then I found out it was from this horror kind of thriller game-esque kind of thing movie, and I'll leave the title, somewhere around. And then I watched it and I said, oh wow, I didn't realize that that kind of trope was a thing. So the final support group kind of uses that trope and is kind of a support group for all these girls left standing at the end of movies, essentially. It is what I think it's about, at least. So that's the first one. The second one I have to read is Xoxo. I was sent an arc of Xoxo by a book PR company, essentially, and I also wanted an interview with the author, so I really have to read that so I can do the author questions, because, that takes time to set up and organize and schedule and stuff, so I gotta do it. I just have to. I really loved Rebel Soul and Rogue Heart by the same author, and so I'm really excited for this contemporary one. I've had some friends who've also read it who've really enjoyed it as well and thought that it was pretty cute. So I'm just excited all around. This is kind of continuation of these series where I find a debut that I love, and then I kind of keep trying to follow the author if I can. And so this is a great example of that. Then the final one is The Queen Will Betray You. This is the sequel to The Princess Will Save You, which is a Princess Bride retelling / re-inspiration thing. I've done a lot of different things about this book before, including an interview, and so I'm just so excited for The Queen Will Betray You. The publisher reached out to me because I loved the first one. And I'm just so excited for it because growing up, I really enjoyed The Princess Bride, but I was never a mega fan. And so reading The Princess Will Save You, it kind of gave me a little bit more insight into the characters, but also, to me, elevated the characters and gave some of them a little bit more agency and a little bit more action in certain areas. And I've really loved what the author has been able to do with the world as well, and specifically the expansion of the world in The Queen Will Betray You, or I hope in The Queen Will Betray You. And then the other three books I really, really, really want to get to / kind of have to get to are The Broken Web. This is a sequel to Forest of Souls. I really enjoyed Forest of Souls, and the cover is gorgeous. The character like everything about that was just this perfect balance of just really beautiful things. I loved the sisterhood relationship, and the magic system for that was so intriguing. I'm just so excited for The Broken Web, and so it's one of those ones where I really, really, really want to read it, and it feels like I have to read it, even though technically there isn't the same kind of obligation with the other ones. The next one is This Poison Heart. I enjoyed Cinderella's Dead so much because I thought that it gave a unique kind of elevation, I guess. I don't want to say reinterpretation, but I thought that it was one of those books where it starts off with a premise that people are familiar with and just totally goes beyond that premise. I really appreciate that when authors use source material and then go really beyond the source material. When I'm reading retellings and re-inspirations and kind of all of those things in that family, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, have you interrogated the source material? Are you bringing something new to the original? Are you bringing the original, a new element to the original, right? So, like, are you looking at a new perspective from the original, or are you taking the original and kind of reimagining it completely? That's what I'm looking for in these kinds of books. And so, Cinderella is Dead just checked all of those different boxes. And so, this Poison Heart looks like it will be so fantastic, and I'm just really excited to read it. The next one and the final one in this category is Gear Breakers. I'm just wanting to find so much more Asian sci fi in my life, and so this one just fits that to a T, essentially. I've also had some friends who've read it and enjoyed it, and so I'm really excited for it. And yeah, all I really need to know at the end of the day is Asian sci-fi, and that's pretty much for me an auto-buy category. So I'm so excited for that one. I'm sorry that I don't know as much about Gear Breakers, just because when I say an auto-buy category, that's exactly what I mean. I mean, you tell me that it's Asian sci-fi, and I'm almost guaranteed to pick that up and request it from the publisher. And then the next ones I want to talk about are books that I have or that I also have to read, and then we'll move on to books that I want to read. So the first one is that for my 12 Friends 12 books, the next pick is The Company by Max Barry. This was a pick or recommendation from Mike from Twitter. All the links for all these books and people below, obviously. I've read Providence by Max Barry before, so I'm not sure if this is going to be a similar kind of vibe. I know that The Company is a much older release from Max Barry, so I'm excited to kind of do a little bit more movement on the 12 Friends 12 Books project. Last month I did read one book, so I'm actually doing really well on this project. So I don't feel too bad about it, but I do want to maintain the pace. Otherwise, I think that I'm just gonna like essentially just stop reading this for the challenge, and at the end of the year it'll be like, okay, you have 4 more books to read. The next one is The Nature of Witches, which Alexandria from Instagram has or Bookstagram has been raving about, and this is one of those things where like I really trust Alexandria's recommendation. We have very similar tastes recently with, Tokyo Ever After and a few other interviews that she's done with other authors that I've really enjoyed as well. So I'm just so excited for this one. It looks to be like a climate change environmental fantasy. So I'm just really excited for it. And it kind of was like, okay, I have to read this. It sounds like something I'd like. It has a stamp of approval. Like, I have to read this. And so it's one of the only ones on this list where it's like made it into the have to read category, but is not one of the have to read categories. The next one will be the Backlist Bookworms pick for June, which we don't know yet. So I have a hard time saying what it is. The pick for May, which we're going to talk about in June 8th, so a little bit later, that's Empress of All Seasons. But I won't know the Backlist Bookworms pick till after the 8th, so there's no way that I can make this TBR video by then. Or at that point. The final one will be my IRL book club pick, which we're still not reading in real person or in real life, so I don't know. It's called IRL because we used to. And also one where we haven't picked the book yet. We are supposed to discuss our May pick on the 5th or 6th, essentially, where the date isn't final. So another one where I don't know what the pick will be, but I had to include it because otherwise I will forget in my TBR and it just won't get done. For buddy reads as well, I want to mention that I have 2 upcoming in June. Actually, 2/3. So the first one is I'm supposed to start this week, so around the last week of May, with Tiffany. We're supposed to start our Violent Ends. I'm really excited for that because, like, I mean, I can't even I can't go on and on about how much I love these Violent Delights. So I just need to read our Violent Ends. I'm not sure if we'll start it on time. That's why I added it to June, and also we won't finish in May. So I'm adding it to June so I can remember, but just know we might start it in May. The second one I'm supposed to be buddy reading is Six Crimson Cranes with Hannah. Hannah and I have buddy read so many books in the past. I'm just so excited for Six Crimson Cranes. I really loved Unravel the Dusk, Spin the Dawn. I've just really loved kind of that fantasy world building, and the cover, and just like everything for Six Crimson Cranes looks so good. I've already pre-ordered it because enamel pins, but that's why I'm super excited for that one and the buddy read. And then the last buddy read is Piranesi. Um, I'll obviously leave like links and covers and stuff, essentially. But I'm reading that with Simone from Bookstagram as well. And I'm excited for that too because I think that I've heard a lot about that book, but not actually read it. So, well, of course, not actually read it, but not actually picked it up, not looked more into it. And so it kind of happened that Simone had posted this story of her saying that she was thinking about reading it. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to do a buddy read with Simone. Um, I've never done, like, I haven't read this book yet. And so it kind of just all came together. The next one that I want to read as well is Isn't It Romantic? I normally read romance books kind of before bed, so I think I will read this. This is the fourth of the Bromance Book Club series, and it takes place the main character with the Russian. That's kind of his nickname. I don't know what to expect. I think it kind of seems like a second chance kind of. I'm really not sure what to expect, especially from the synopsis. It seems I don't want to go into the synopsis because you can read the synopsis on Goodreads, but I'm intrigued by it. I know the least about it, and I also had the least kind of inclination to dive into the Russian story. I know they were kind of going through the group of them, so I knew that it was going to come, but I didn't know what to expect, and so I am intrigued to see a little bit more character detail and development. But as I said, I don't know what to expect. I'm going to leave it at that because we talked about books that I have to read, books that I want to read, books that I'm buddy reading. And so that's what it is. I have the tendency to want to add, oh, I'd like to read this one on my ARC list and this one and this one and this one. I'm trying to put a lot less pressure on myself for June. May, specifically the end of May, has been really, really, really hard for me emotionally, stress level wise, mental health, like on all fronts. And so I'm hoping that in June I can get a little bit more balance back. And so even in my bullet journal, I have other books that I thought that I could talk about. But based on how I feel about it being almost the end of May, I just think that the best course for me would be to just leave it there. I'm going to try to leave it there. And if I read more books, I read more books. If I don't read these books, I don't read these books. At the end of the day, I'm trying to be more forgiving of myself. So I hope that you have a really great day and let me know what is on your June TBR. And I will see you hopefully next video with a lot better light. Okay, bye.